Welcome back to this portion of the Real Estate Radio Hour. 651-989-9226. That's our phone number if you do have a real estate question. Or text us at 81807. Guys, we do have a caller on the line that's been waiting. Tom in Andover is next up here. Thank you, Tom.
Hey, good morning, guys. Great show. Thank you.
Thank you.
Question today, we're talking about transferring title to your children at death and things like that. Is there tax implications on something like that, or how does that work?
Okay, that's the accountant. The next time we can't, Liam. I don't know. You can't really answer that question, can you?
Probably shouldn't.
And there's obviously there's tax implications depending on how you do it and when you do it, and
based on your particular circumstances. Yeah.
Exactly. So
we you guys that actually
question,
are prohibited from.
We can't talk about
you just can't do
legal
it.
or tax advice, right?
The answer is maybe.
Yeah, it depends. No, but we can't. As realtors, we're not allowed to do that. That's the accountants and the attorneys. So
the first step would be to call one or the other, an attorney?
Absolutely. Or like our hotline. We can certainly get that thing answered, and maybe Chris Mahold with MFK and Associates is out there, and he might call in.
Good guy.
He's a
knows
big
all,
listener. So.
Yeah, big time.
Yeah.
Yep.
Hey, we got a text question here, too. Are the Todd deeds available in all Minnesota counties?
Yeah, it's a Minnesota-wide thing, so you could use it anywhere in Minnesota. And there are other states that have. I think we were kind of slow to the game to getting them. I think other states had them before us. But, yeah, it can be used anywhere in Minnesota.
Okay, good. Yeah, and again, if you contact our website, we could obviously send them over to you and get that, be able to take care of that, and All American can do that, right?
Yeah,
for people.
Yeah, they can. Yeah, we can certainly prepare deeds and things like that.
Okay, perfect.
Hey, Liam, can you wake up Travis over there? I want to get him on here. Travis.
Hello, how are you?
Good. How's it going?
Just sleeping, hanging out in the corner.
I was going to say, hot topic today is title stuff, huh?
Yeah, learning a lot.
Yeah.
Good. Travis with good. WJ Bradley's here today.
Yeah, and I think we were going to talk to Travis a little about gift equity. Mm-hmm. And when we say gift equity, what are we talking about here?
Well, it's basically a way to have, if parents want to sell a piece of property to, their children, and, they still need to get something out of selling that property, and the children don't really have maybe the necessary down payment to complete the transaction. You can utilize a gift of equity to basically give to the children for their down payment and closing costs and stuff. Gift of equities are generally written into the purchase contract, and it really helps both parties. Kids can get the house with little out of pocket, and the parents can still sell it and keep it in the family.
What kind of ratios of down payment, or what are you looking for? A little more depends.
It depends on what type of financing that you use, but as low as 3.5%, as much as 20%. Kind of depends on the parents' financial situation, what they need to get out of the house, what the value of the property is, etc.
So it's a $100,000 house, and they gift the child, let's say $40,000. So they're actually only financing $60,000.
Yep.
They're still putting the 3.5% down on the $60,000.
Well, no. That gift of equity is their down payment. So if they gift them, the $40,000, now basically it's looking like they're putting 40% down on the property.
Fantastic, cool.
Yeah, and then obviously the seller would just then turn around and get, if it was free and clear, they'd get that $60,000. So a way in which to sell it to them and do that. I just wonder, there's got to be some tax implications on that too, I would think, from the seller's perspective. But that's another conversation. Yeah.
Is that a maybe?
Yeah,
that's a maybe. Yeah.
It is, and But that's another interesting topic for another day, for sure. We're talking about financing and stuff too. There's also contract for deeds, and we can maybe hit with Liam a little on that. But I mean, on a contract for deed and refinancing one of those, because there's a lot of those that are happening now. People that got caught in the short sale thing that had to get financing from a seller, and but refinancing those. Are you seeing that?
Yeah, seeing it occasionally. Yeah, I mean, I don't have a tremendous amount of clients who are refinancing contract for deeds, but I know there's guys in the office that are dealing with those regularly. The big thing is you just got to, you got to document your payment history on those contract for deeds to make so the underwriters know that you're current on your payments, and really the only way to document that is via canceled checks.
So don't
be paying your contract for deed payments with cash, because it's very hard to paper trail for lender underwriting.
Liam, are you seeing that with contract for deeds? Are you seeing a few of those, or?
We've seen quite a few people, that have been buying on contracts for deed, and we're seeing a lot of refinancing kind of at the end to pay off that contract for deed and move into more, traditional financing. Yeah, it seemed like there was kind of a big explosion of it, especially after a lot of foreclosures and things. I think people just weren't situated correctly to be able to buy normally, so they did the contract for deed.
And we as a seller, though, when we offer a contract for deed, we've talked about this in past shows where maybe our market's a little slower, or maybe we're asking for, let's just say, market value plus a little bit, and we find a buyer that says, hey, I'm willing to do that with you if you offer us a CD as a form of financing. Now, the due on sale clauses and everything that's there, let's set that aside for a second, but what happens to the title when I, as a seller, actually accept a contract for deed from a buyer? Or give a contract for deed, I should say. What happens?
Well, essentially, you record that contract for deed, and you've got the vendee and the contract on your property. When you say what happens,
what I'm saying is that basically the buyer coming in actually does get put on title, correct?
Right. Yeah, you would definitely if you were to search that property, you would see that they have that interest in the property as well. So
we have a regular closing with regular expenses, just like a regular sale, and it's just you're carrying the financing as a seller.
Yeah, essentially, from a title standpoint, we look at it almost like a cash purchase. When you buy on a contract for deed, you can get title insurance just like you would when you buy the property outright. And so, from our standpoint, it looks pretty much exactly like a cash sale.
So what if you bought a property from a seller that was actually challenging? Well, I guess when we get back, why don't we talk about that?
Yeah, in fact, why don't you ask your question, because I want to get a listener on here, and then we're going to answer that question too as they head the break. You finish up.
What if you buy a contract for deed as a buyer, and that person's in financial trouble and a bunch of liens hit that property between now and when that CD is mature? Would the title insurance cover that?
Well, essentially, anything that the seller, like the person that actually has the property, would put on it after that contract for deed would be junior to your contract for deed. So it can't really affect your position in the property. So if you were then to turn around and pay off that contract for deed, you wouldn't take subject to any of those judgments or any of those other issues that the seller had put on it.
Okay.